It's Triple Crown here, and it is still Friday, January 24th, 2025. I promise we will finally get through day one of Culture Collision in today's video. Still plenty of deals to talk about, still plenty of cards to show off. Can't wait to get into it, and we're not going to wait anymore. Let's get right into the action.
Can I look at his Bowers and the Dijon right here?
Yeah.
Can you do 4 for the pair? Just looking at comps on them. Most of these do about 280. The last one was higher because it was jersey match. The last one here did 135. So I'm like 85 to 80%.
Give me room on the Herbert.
I do 450 on the pair. That's what my best amount.
If you missed part 2, then you'll notice that there's a lot of crowd noise in the background. A lot of that is from music that is playing over a loudspeaker in the back room. It kind of distorts some of the audio and some of the clips in part 2. It's going to be the same thing here in part 3. Not too much I can do about it, but I'll try to subtitle if I feel it's necessary. But I want to pause here to talk about this Brock Bowers Blue Ice that is being negotiated on. I bought this card to bring down to Atlanta specifically, which is definitely an exception to the rule for me. I don't like to keyhole myself into having to sell a card at one specific spot or really only having one out to sell a card, because usually that means I'm going to end up stuck with it and have to take less for it than I normally want. But Bowers is a pretty hot name right now. This card sells surprisingly well for a tight end. I shouldn't say too surprisingly because he is a very popular player. I'm in Georgia country, which is where he went to college at, and it's a blue ice. My affinity for the blue ice is not unique to me. There's a lot of people that love the blue ices, and I figured that this Bowers would probably go here. Now, I'm going to need to get a premium for it because I paid strong on it. I'll tell you right up front, I paid $285 for this thing, and my goal is to get $320 out of it. Is it towards the higher end of the sales? It sure is, and I knew I was going to have to stand my ground on this one. It was going to be one that I'd probably have to fight on a little bit, and that's exactly what I'm going to have to do throughout the show.
Put a little bit more premium on this one just because we're in Georgia country. That's why I bought it strong, because I had a feeling that it might be able to move. We'll see if I'm right or wrong.
Again, I repeated to the buyer what I just said here on the video. I said, hey, I paid strong for this card. This is what I want for it. I figured I could probably get a bit of a premium for it down here in Georgia. I think to the right fan of Brock Bowers, or perhaps a Georgia Bulldogs fan, which there were quite a few in the room based on the apparel I saw. So many big, bold G sweatshirts and t-shirts walking around the place, especially on Saturday. At least that's what I picked up on. And sure enough, I was right. Someone did buy the Brock Bowers for $320 late on day 2. And I'm not always right on these things. Sometimes I make the wrong read, and sometimes I think, maybe I can get a little bit more than recent sales, and it doesn't work out. It happens. As long as it works out in my favor more times than it doesn't, that's really what's most important. And with this Bowers, I had a game plan for this card specifically. I was able to visualize what a potential sale of the card would look like, where I want to sticker it at, what I want to try to get out of it. And I knew it would probably take a little bit of time to move it. I knew I would probably get a lot of offers in the 250, 260 range. I even had one in the 200 range at one point. But I knew that if I held my ground, I could probably get close, if not right at my number. And if I didn't get that number, then I knew that probably that 240, 250 would be readily available for me when I brought it back to try to sell it. But thankfully, it didn't come to that. And I'm happy with myself for making the correct read on this one.
Did you split? Are you going to be fair? I do 420.
I'd be full yeah, sorry.
No worries, I appreciate it. Can I see this one?
Yeah.
I just want to see obviously you guys grade a lot. Is there a reason some of these are not graded? You know what I mean? So then
This one here has this print band. You can kind of see it.
I was about to look them all over,
Yeah, that one is an automatic 8.
Yeah,
the Bowers, I thought about. I have it priced a little higher because I will send it off if it doesn't move at this show.
What's the recent comps on this one roughly?
So there's one at 350, but it was the jersey match one for what it's worth, and then there were some other ones that are around like 280-ish. So I put a little bit of a premium just because we're in Georgia country.
Yep.
And I really want to send it off myself, but if someone's willing to pay strong on it, then I can't say no at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Where you from? You from this area?
Cincinnati area.
Cincinnati. I'm from Myrtle Beach.
Oh, cool.
Very interesting question posed by this buyer, but also one that I think is very important, and I'm glad that he asked that so I can point it out in the video. He asked me if there was a reason that some of the cards I had in here were raw. He's looking at like a lot of select and optic parallels of some of the quarterbacks like Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar. I think some of the Jalen Hurts he also picked up as well. And he saw that I had a lot of graded cards, and it kind of made him, I guess, cautious as to buying the raw cards from me because he wasn't sure if they were, I guess you could say, rejects from my grading pile or whatever the case may be. The truth is that I like to have a nice balance of both raw and graded cards. I purposely will start buying up graded cards or start targeting graded cards if I feel I'm running low, and then also vice versa on raw. I'm also of the opinion that not everything has to be graded. I like to have raw cards that people can send off themselves as well, because if they send it off and they get a 10 with their grading company of choice, they're probably going to be pretty happy and they'll want to come back. But I do not want to have the reputation that all of my raw cards are not in good condition. I also want to try to point out the major flaws if my raw cards have them. Because if you develop a reputation for not having any good raw cards, then it's going to become pretty difficult to sell raw cards, especially to returning customers. Maybe not such a big deal at shows like this, but at my local shows, I'll feel the impact.
Because if you're happy and you get a 10, then you're probably going to come back next time. That's the way I see it.
Problem is with these, a 9 goes for what about a raw goes for. So if you don't get it, even when you take, these $25, $30 cards, you take a little off, you put another 15, 20 in grading.
Yeah, I mean,
it's 10 or bust at some of these cheaper low-end cards.
Yeah.
And this here corner, the prisms, man, the corners. The past couple of years, Panini's been rough on quality control, but they seem worse this year than any year.
Don't let your 9s go for cheap, would be my advice on that, because the 9 is going to be the standard for those this year.
I'm going to put these back.
All right.
Okay, I'll let you hang on to those.
Yeah.
What would be your best offer on this one by itself?
I'll do $325 on it, otherwise I'm going to hold on to it.
I get it.
Yeah. I think it's a 9 personally.
Yeah. I think the kid's really good.
I also love that parallel. I'm building the set from 2020 of that.
Are you?
Blue Ices, yeah. I don't have any of the big quarterbacks. I had an opportunity.
They jump up pretty high.
I had an opportunity to buy a Love last year for $500, and I didn't pull the trigger.
I might come back and snag this one. I'm going to pass right now.
Yeah.
Let me know what you do with these 4, though.
I would do 90 on all 4.
9, that makes sense to me. What's the sticker? 30, 50, 85.
Cool. Thank you.
Little mistake here by me. These numbers actually added up to 115. I thought they added up to 105, which is why I said 90. At 115, I'd want 100. So a little bit of an error on my part. Ended up costing me $10, but these types of things, they're just going to happen. Something to get to deal with. On to the next deal.
Can I see the Garrett Rogers?
Yeah.
Please. Can I see the Brianna as well?
Sure. You got that at the National as a throw-in.
Really?
Yeah.
You got it as a throw-in?
Pretty much.
Gosh. That's really cool.
It's considered the Statue of Liberty rookie.
Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of a neat thing. Has anybody ever seen this? I've never seen this. Statue of Liberty rookie card. 1911. It's pretty good. It's in like pretty good shape.
I think there's only 2 that are graded higher. There's 2 6s, if that's a 6.
Yeah.
If you can't tell by the voice, that is Ryan Card Collector 2. He is working on a deal with me for a couple of cards in my showcase, 2 most notable ones being the Breanna Stewart Prism autograph that I mistakenly bought at Eastgate thinking that it was a gold when actually it was a green. He's also looking at the Statue of Liberty card that I've had since the National. I think that was a day 1 purchase of the 2024 National. At this point, I've had it for 6 months, and if I have something for that long, it's usually gotten to the point where I'm considering, okay, am I going to push this a little bit more to move it, or am I just going to keep it for myself? Because I really do like that card. I think it's a neat card, but would I rather have that cash to buy a card that maybe appeals to me a little bit more, or to buy more inventory? The answer is yes. So at this point, I will take a deal that is profitable on that card, especially if it helps me get out from underneath the Stewarts. That's where my head's at heading into this one.
That's crazy. Now I'm intrigued. I think I've almost talked myself into like the intrigue behind it.
It catches a lot of attention in the showcase.
Does it?
This is green, not gold, by the way.
Yeah.
I made that mistake
first
and
year.
I thought it was gold.
Gotcha.
And,
yeah, first year WNBA. Do you have much room on this?
Yeah, I'll listen to an offer on it. I kind of tipped my hand by telling you it's a throw in, but...
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I even see close is that PSA 5. It's like an SGC 2.5 that, you know, it's not even close. There's a PSA 5, that's it.
What was the PSA 5?
338 in July. I mean, again, PSA 2.5 does 80, SGC 2.5 does 78. But again, I'm not going to compare those to a PSA 6. Can I see the Mahomes?
Yeah.
Please. Let me see what you won on these and then what it would cost to add this.
What were you thinking on this?
This is a little bit of a difficult spot because Ryan is asking here for two separate prices. He wants to know what it would be with or without the Statue of Liberty card. Now, the only way that I really want to move this Breonna Stewart is if I can move it with something else that will mitigate, or at least somewhat mitigate, the huge loss that I'm about to take on it. For a card like that Statue of Liberty, which has kind of become a sunk cost at this point, I don't need too much to make it profitable. It is really the perfect storm. And the way that I want to frame this is that this is an all or nothing type of thing, where I want both these cards to either go together or I'm keeping both of them here. It wouldn't really make too much sense to move the Stewart with some of these smaller cards because that's not really going to help me in the long term. But I also want to make sure I'm not just giving away the Statue of Liberty card just for the sake of giving it away. That's why I'm kind of turning it back on Ryan here, asking him how much he values it at. And that's going to make me really confident whether or not I can make this deal happen.
There's just not a lot to go off of, so.
350 there. I was thinking 4 on this.
I would probably want to be closer to like 650.
Another mistake by me here. I didn't let him answer my question. He only said it was tough, so, and then didn't elaborate on that point. And then I went ahead and made him the two separate offers, one without and one with the Statue of Liberty. Made him the other offer first because I was trying to think through where I wanted to be on that Statue of Liberty card. That is just me making a mental error. It's later in the day. A lot of numbers have ran through my head all day, and I'm kind of tired at this point in time, not going to lie. Sometimes mistakes will happen. But he does come back. He says 650, which would indicate he wants to be closer to 300 on the Statue of Liberty. That's fine. It's not quite where I want to be. I'll settle in the 325 to 350 range on it, which means that I'm going to need 675 to 700 on this stack. If I can get there, that will pretty much get me out of the Breonna Stewart unscathed at this point. That's where I'm hoping to kind of push him towards at the end of this.
And it's more of this. Like, there's not a lot to be off on that. I want to be closer to 3.
Why don't we split it at 350?
I probably want to look like, if I do 350 on that, I want to be at like 330 on that. I would want to be like closer to like 680. I don't want to get quite to 7. I think 7's above where I want to be. We can call that like 330, that 350. Like pay your sticker on that, just call that 330.
Sure.
Does that work? Thank you.
Ryan said 350 on the Statue of Liberty, but my number was assuming that I was going to get 350 on the other stack. So really, in my head, I'm just swapping around that $20, and I end up getting 330 on that card. That's, like I said, what I was looking for. 325 to 350. Perhaps I could have pushed back and said 7 and held firm there. Maybe we would have got a deal done. Maybe we wouldn't have. But was that $20 worth the risk of him saying that he'd have to pass? No, not really in this case. It was a deal that made a lot of sense. It helped me get out from underneath something that I made a mistake on. And he was pretty happy with it. So thank you, Ryan, for working with me on this one. This was a fun one. All right, at this point, the crowd is thinning out a little bit. I want to make sure I still have some cards left to sell on Saturday because it's been phenomenal to this point. which means I pack my stuff up, take my roller bag with me, and decide to go on the road a little bit. I'm going to go shop around myself and see what I can find. Now, I'm really looking for cards to replenish my inventory, but lo and behold, I find a blue ice that I need for my set. It's this Peyton Manning here, $40 sticker on it. That is kind of steep. I'm going to offer him $30, which is still probably kind of steep. Hopefully he takes it, but I just want the card for my set. I feel like I've earned it. Had a good day. I just want to have something to kind of take home. Even though I already got the Amon-Ra RPA, this would be kind of the cherry on top for the day.
Did you get the 30 on this Peyton blue ice?
Do what now?
Did you do 30 on this Peyton blue ice?
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right, cool. Can I see the LA gold minted, please?
Yeah.
This is one of the last two tables I stop at here. He has this Josh Allen downtown, and I have been asked for downtowns and kabooms all day long. I didn't bring any with me, but I figured that this might be my chance to grab one. Now, part of me also wonders, why is it still there if all these people are asking for him, if this guy has been there since the start? Maybe he just bought it, maybe he just pulled it, maybe he just finished setting up. I don't know what the case is, but it's at 600. That's not too unreasonable for that card. Perhaps it's on the higher end of sales, but I think if I can add something else to it, I might be able to get to the number I want to. The card that catches my attention is a Ellie De La Cruz gold minted out of Stadium Club. Those are case hits. Now he wants 400 on it. There's only been 2 sales at 225 and 215. That's just too far for me to bridge the gap there. He also has an Ohtani out of 50. It's not 50 of 50, so I end up passing on that as well.
This Skeens isn't numbered, is it?
I don't believe so. I think it's the base.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the base 5-star auto.
In an ideal world, plan A was to pair the Allen with that Ellie, but the price is too far for me to start on negotiations. Plan B was that Ohtani card. I was okay with the price depending on the serial number on it. If it was the bookend, being 50 of 50, then I would definitely jump on it. If it was like a jersey number, 17 of 50, I'd be interested in it. It's kind of a weird nitpicky thing, but that's kind of where my head was at with that one. Now I'm on to plan C, which is this Paul Skeens autograph. Skeens is someone who I haven't touched too much for a pitcher. His market is red hot. I think right there with Ellie and Bobby Witt, he is top 3 players that I am currently asked for when I go to shows. I know that it's not going to be cheap to get this card, but I've been asked about Skeens several times at this show. This might not be a bad one to just stick back in my case tomorrow. I have to at least try at this point. I know that I'll have to pay strong on it. That's fine. I'll do what I can within reason.
I can call him, but I doubt.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I'm just curious if you had an offer.
I would offer $825 for that and the Allen. That was the other one I was looking at.
$825.
Yeah.
The Skeens actually belongs to his friend who he told me he would call up and I would make my offer to him. I offered $825 for that Allen and that Skeens. That's a little even more than I wanted to. I really wanted to offer $800, but I felt like there was no shot at that. $825, I just led with my best foot forward and figured if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. He said that he would do $875, and at that point I feel like I'm just buying the cards for the sake of buying cards because I sold a lot today. I don't need to do that. I just need to be patient, wait for things to possibly come up to my table tomorrow, or look for other opportunities in the room. I think the owner of the Skeens card was wanting to speculate on it. He thought that it would go up when the season started. That's fine if he wants to hold on to it there. But at that point, didn't make a whole lot of sense for me. So I had to reluctantly walk away. I wanted the Allen card, but it is what it is. It wasn't meant to be. And I'm proud of myself for staying disciplined on this one. Just because I struck out on that deal did not mean I walked away empty-handed, though. Just as I had kind of given up hope of finding something that I could buy at the end of the day, I had already taken my camera off, put it in my camera bag, was heading out the front door of the show, but I saw one table that caught my eye. There weren't too many cards in it, but they were all very nice cards, and the one in particular that I wanted was this Griffey 1998 Donruss Crusade. This is the green numbered to 250. Very popular insert set from the 90s of really one of the most popular players of the 90s here in Ken Griffey Jr. And this was a card that I felt like at the right price I would definitely jump on. These are the types of cards that you don't see too often, Don't expect to get a steal on these types of cards unless you are extremely lucky, in which case you should probably play the lottery. But when I saw this one, I'm like, all right, as long as the price is close, I feel like I'm going to close on this one, and I did. He had a few cards that I was interested in. I ended up bundling it with a Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens, triple threads autograph that was numbered out of 9. I ended up moving that the next day for $225, meaning that I was into this Griffey at $875 since the deal was $1,100 for the pair. That to me is a fantastic price for this beautiful Griffey insert from 1998. Very pleased to end the show on that note. I did try to extend the deal a little bit more. He had a few cards such as a Drew Brees autograph. He had a Mario Lemieux autograph 101. Very nice, diverse variety in his showcase. But I felt like I was kind of reaching at air in some cases where I was looking at the Lemieux. It was cool, but I didn't really know what it was realistically worth. I thought that his price seemed reasonable on it, but again, it was something that was out of my wheelhouse. There was no need to force it to try to get an even better deal on this Griffey. The price was already fair enough. And we shook hands at $1,100 for the Griffey and the Clemens Nolan Ryan triple threads auto, which can't really ask for too much more. This was a fantastic start to the show. I walk out of this with a blue ice for my set. I got the Amon-Ra RPA that I wanted so bad last year and finally kind of finished the story on that one this year. And then I made one really nice purchase to close off things with that Griffey Crusade. About as good of a Friday as one could have hoped for. Let's hope that Saturday is just as good, but you will have to stay tuned for the next one if you want to find out how Saturday went. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. Part 1 and Part 2 are already up on the channel. If you missed what happened earlier on in the show, feel free to go check those out, but if not, I'll see you later this week with even more from Culture Collision. Take care, stay safe, and be kind.